An introduction to bar chords, the 5 chords of caged made movable. When we look at a guitar, because of its tuning in fourths, lower to higher, only between the 3rd and 2nd string, it's a major third, only 5 shapes are available to us. And the 5 shapes of C, A, G, E, D line up in a specific order for a very specific reason we'll discuss in a little bit. When we look at the C chord, the 5th and 2nd strings name it, and when we look at the A chord, the 5th and 3rd strings name it. They both have a 5th string in common. Both of them have a 5th string name. When we look at the G and the E chords, the G chord, 6th, 3rd, and 1st strings name it, and the 6th, 4th, and 1st strings name the E. They both have a 6th string in common with them. The D chord, the lowest note you'll find is the open 4th string. When we think of the musical alphabet A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, we're missing 2 notes, F and B, or for that matter, any sharp or flatted tone. So these shapes, and let's think of them as shapes, are movable. When you move these 2, you'll watch the 5th string for their letter name. When you move these 2, you will watch the 6th string for their letter name. And the lowly little D, you will only watch the 4th string. For now, we're going to start with the E chord, and we're going to go to the next little part of this video, and we're going to see how to make the E chord movable. We're going to look at the bar chord movable E 6th string name. Here on the fretboard you see an E chord, and then you see it up here on the diagram. And then to the right of the diagram you see what kind of looks like a mustache across the diagram with that E chord up above it. That's this guy here, and that's called a bar chord. So I got to talk to you about how to do this for a second. When we do this, I have to use all my technical skill to give you a really great way of how to figure this out. This is an extremely scientific, highly technological idea that I have to expose for the left hand. Are you ready? Make a chicken. So the big technical scientific thing is the chicken beak, and you see when I put my finger up here that it is lined up against those 2 knuckles, that this knuckle and the thumb and this knuckle and the index generally want to stay lined up. They don't want to get like this or like this, and we don't want the fingers coming out of line. Kind of like that, and it's a nice firm clamp. Just that's how it clamps the neck, okay? When you go up to the fretboard, there's a particular technique for doing this, okay? And this is how I describe it to most people. Start by finding the 5th fret. On my Gibson, you see the inlays at 3 and 5, and you place your palm flat to the bottom of the neck. Your fingers pointing straight out and your thumb straight up. Then what I want you to do is I want you to swing the wrist until the fingers are pointing straight up, okay? Then I want you to spread them a little bit like that. Then what I want to happen is I want you to slide down so that there's a gap. You can see about a finger's worth of distance underneath my neck between that and the palm of my hand. That will allow everything to work. When people run the palm of the hand right up into the fretboard like that, it becomes problematic that it's getting all choked up. It doesn't know how to, it's got to back away a little bit to have room to move. We're going to try this, and it's very difficult. It's tough by video. If you make a mistake, I can't see it, so I will go slowly with this. It's advisable not to start with the 1st finger. I would start, and you can recite, the 2nd finger on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. Your 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the 5th string. The 4th finger on the 7th fret also, and on the 4th string. And you can see that gap in the palm of my hand and the neck. And then I just bring my 1st finger over, and I have barred the neck. And I have an A chord, okay? So what your 1st finger is doing is it's acting like the nut of the string guide of your guitar. This is the E. You replace the nut with your 1st finger, you take it up here, and you make that same shape. So this chord form, the open E string names the E chord. So at the 5th fret of the 6th string, it's an A. And for that matter, at the 4th fret, it could be an A flat G sharp, G, G flat F sharp, F, or E. The chord is movable, and the 6th string names it. Okay, the bar chord, movable A, 5th string name. We see on the diagram here the regular A chord like you've learned when we first got together. Another way of doing this in rock is to play with just the first finger flat. That's extraordinarily common with this chord shape. The next diagram on the right shows the chord is a movable bar chord at the 5th fret. Now underneath it you see the fingers under here, and it shows that 3rd finger flat like I got it right here. But right off to the lower right of that I can highlight this 2, 3, 4, and there's an alternative fingering to this, and I'll show you that in a second. So we're going to make this bar chord, and we're going to use our chicken. Once again comes to play. Get the beak ready. And you're not going to start with the bar. It generally doesn't work best to do that. Let's take the 3rd finger up to the 7th fret of the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. The 1st finger will lay flat at the 5th fret against all of the strings. Yes, you do bar all the way across to the 6th string, but the 5th string names this chord, and if you can do it, you want to strum from the 5th string down. So let's do it again. 3rd finger flat, 4, 3, 2, and then you bar the neck. Now you can see that bend in my 3rd finger works pretty good, okay? I've been doing this a long time. So about the alternative fingering, you could do this. Now 2nd finger, 7th fret, 4th string, 3rd finger, 7th fret, 3rd string, the 4th finger, 7th fret, 2nd string. So you've got 2, 3, 4, you see them? And then you bar the 5th fret. I find this actually harder to do. I find it much easier to do this, and then I have other notes around this chord that I can add to it. So this chord form is the same as your A chord, and the A chord is the open 5th string A. So here it would be a B, C, C sharp, D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, and all the way up the fretboard chromatically if you desire. Now let's move on to the C, G, and D chords and look at those real quick.